any error, any issue with this use of technology could create and cascade the impacts. Now, what I'm looking at, and I want to emphasize more, and this is my intention in this presentation, is more of how now that we know this is becoming a hazard, the data shows this trend, how we can bring this into disaster and emergency management cycle. I'm sure you, especially those who have been working on disaster and emergency management field, you are very familiar with the cycle of disaster and emergency management phases from mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Now, this cycle usually has and brings in the risk and hazard into the cycle. Now, going back, for example, you could talk about how we can bring in, for example, volcano, flooding, earthquakes, and others into this cycle. This has been traditional way of working and using and thinking about hazards and risk and bringing them into this cycle. Now, because AI is now becoming a hazard for us, it's important to know how we can structure and bring this into our disaster and emergency management cycle. That is what we in this field are using as a base when we try to provide and prepare a base for disaster and emergency management. Now, of course, all of these start with a risk assessment and risk management framework, because mitigation, response, preparedness, response, and recovery, they all use this risk management framework as their basis for what they are doing and how they are doing it. There are a lot of questions when it comes to the AI itself. For example, what type of risk is this or hazard is this? Is it, for example, a technological hazard, human-made hazard, or natural hazard? Which, of course, we can give some base answers to that, but essentially, we will see as the scale of use of AI and misuse of AI is increasing, we are moving from, for example, AI as a technological hazard into AI as more of a human-made hazard, because there are a lot of essential elements of human misuse of AI in that. So there are really a lot of questions that my presentation wants to address them, but not to say that I am able to do that in this short period of time. But these are really important questions. Now, in terms of type of hazard or hazard level, one can basically classify AI into at least 3 different levels. One level is the tools, or looking at AI as a tool. Another level is AI as more of agent. And lastly, AI as a super intelligence. So at each of these levels, we have different types of hazards. What we are more concerned about is not really about the use of AI as a tool. We are now seeing most of the incidents and cases that I mentioned are now at the use of AI as a tool level. But as AI become agent or agentic AI, or as we create super intelligence AI, this risk level is shifting to a totally different level. And that is what is concerned of many scientists who are behind developing AI, and they are now concerned that if AI is becoming an agent that is not in our control, or becoming a super intelligent that may not follow necessarily or align with our goals, that may create a type of hazards that we unintentionally or not knowingly creating this hazard, which is at the level that we as humans may not be able to control it. And that is the biggest conversation now happening at different levels, whether and if we would be able to control this hazard with the current legislations, current tools, and current capabilities that we have. Many arguments that, unfortunately, if we don't take action right now, we may not be, unfortunately, able to control this hazard. Am I doing right? 5 minutes, thank you so much. So this is really the arguments, whether we are able to control this hazard, and what we need to do if we want to take control of it. That is what some of the governments are now doing. For example, you will see in the UK currently, they look at AI as what they call it chronic hazard, which means it is a risk that is there. It is not realized right now, but it may be a long-term issue. Some people may not agree with this, especially scientists behind this. They actually argue that with the speed of AI, there is a chance that we are in superintelligence AI situation much faster than predicted. So there is a chance that we will go into an actual hazard that is no longer a chronic risk or hazard. But that is what, for example, UK is thinking, and because that is a national platform for their risk register, local governments like City of London also look at this as a chronic risk at this time. But I'm sure you have also seen arguments from different levels. I want to say that this superintelligence type of AI that we are talking about, which may become a hazard that is uncontrollable by human, started with some fictions about previous centuries. I'm sure you have read some of these books and materials related to that. But most recently, of course, within the past couple of decades, there has been attention to the possibility of this technology becoming a certain hazard for us. And as you look at the very recent books and works of scientists and engineers in this field, you will see that this argument that AI may become a superintelligence or general intelligence that may be out of control of human, or at least our goals, is quite serious. And so we need to think about, as disaster and emergency managers, how to deal with it when it comes to this hazard. So I don't want to show this clip, but you can find it yourself if you search for it. One of the things, for example, that Stuart Russell is talking about is in particular important, using the story of the King Midas, that wishing to have everything he touches become a gold. Now we, as those who are using and developing AI, wanted to use AI for everything. Now we are facing, and he's arguing that we are facing the same situation. While we are using AI, if not using it responsibly and thinking about its future direction, we may actually create much more trouble for ourselves than using and benefiting from AI. And there are more on this from other very key feature scientists and engineers behind the AI technology that emphasizing possibility of AI turning against human. And because of that, we feel in disaster and emergency management, we need to be much more careful about it. Now, I want to also finish and say this by looking at it from more global perspectives. This risk forum, Global Risk Forum, creates this sort of annual risk assessment overall to tell us what are the major CEOs of companies globally perceive as important risks. For them, currently in 2026, adverse outcome of AI technology is number 5 out of 10 major global risks that they perceive within a long-term or 10-year period. So this is very important, and this, from disaster and emergency management perspective, is no way we can ignore it or we can just put it aside. So we have to think about it, how we can bring this into our active and actions. And you see this really stands on the upper side of this risk matrix, where when you compare it with all other risks that they mentioned globally, this use of technology is certainly in a very higher, both in terms of frequency and also in terms of magnitude. So I want to conclude with this one, although I have some more slides there that is available to you, saying that from whatever angle we look at it, AI is now becoming a hazard that we need to think about it, of how bring it into these 4 phases of disaster and emergency management. And perhaps I should finish with this thought. Now, we have emergency management response agencies in almost every country, police, fire, paramedics, etc. None of these, to my knowledge, have expertise and capabilities to deal with potential hazards created by AI technologies. And my argument in concluding part of this presentation and also paper is how we can build and add capacities to our first responders to be able to manage potential harmful impacts of AI into the society. Suppose, and I conclude with this example, suppose, for example, an robotic AI or an agentic AI does a harm to certain group of people in a community, in a gathering, and so forth. What emergency responders need to have and need to know and be equipped with to be able to deal with this type of new agentic hazard that hasn't been their normal operation activities. And thank you very much for listening, and I hope this was initiating some questions and conversations for our conference today and tomorrow. And thank you again for the opportunity, and I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for the very enlightening presentations. As you already attended, Professor Ali emphasized on the importance of the issue of AI as a hazard. And the major point he raised in his presentation is if not properly used, AI could be a hazard or a threat. And he already substantiated that with practical experience. He also gave emphasis as to why AI is a hazard, the logic behind what made AI a hazard, with examples like the use of fake images following the occurrence of disaster, and also shared that the experience like school shooting being exaggerated and then terrorizing the family and the community at large. The other point he mentioned is AI incidence is being increasing from time to time. And he shared also the experience on AI, in the use of AI. If wisely used, AI could be a technology, but if not, it could be equally harmful. He also stressed the point that AI is now becoming a chronic. Normally the term chronic has been used in disease, long-lasting disease, but now AI technologies can also sometimes become a chronic. And the worrisome is that AI is now becoming also a super dangerous. Now, if we don't manage technology may be in the future manage us. That's what we have to be careful. If, however, managed, and then if you are ready to control, it may serve. So there are AI risks that may be a short-term risk, a long-term risk. the long-term risk may be what you have to consider. Thank you very much, Professor, for the very brief presentation and then awareness on AI and the danger associated with technology. With this brief summary on the first presentation, I'll proceed to the second presentation. And the coordinator told me that for those audience, our audience following the program from outside, now the same program is being channeled through YouTube of the university, and therefore people out of the auditorium can also follow the same transmission, the same information. Thank you. I'll go to the second presenter. The second presenter is, I have the second presenter, Dr. Muluneh Atnafu. Let me briefly introduce Dr. Muluneh Atnafu before he's inviting him to the stage. Dr. Muluneh has a professional background in information system and technology. He holds a PhD, MSc, and a BSc in information system. He has combined experience of policy making, research, teaching, and leadership in education. His research mainly focuses on socio-technical design, science research in information system, especially in the content of multi-stakeholder and resource-constrained settings. Methodologically, his research draws on information system design theory, design science research in information system, interpretive and positive approach. Currently, he is serving as a senior advisor at the ICT and the Digital Education Office, Ministry of Education. He has also responsibility in coordinating and managing the implementation of the national e-learning initiatives in higher education institutions in Ethiopia. He's supporting the smooth and successful implementation of national digital interventions and the policy frameworks by the Ministry of Education. He's also serving as a member of the Digital Ethiopia 2030 and the digital governance, that means government national technical workshop groups. He also volunteered in different professional committees and practitioner activities such as the International Telecommunication Unit and other activities led by local and international organizations. Prior to his current role, he was a faculty at the University of Gondar, Department of Computer Science and Information Technology. His current collaboration and assignment focus on researching development and roll out educational technology, AI digital strategies and digital policy frameworks, and the digital literacy and the skill development frameworks in education. With this brief introduction of Dr. Muluneh, let me call up him to the stage and make his presentation. Dr. Muluneh's presentation title is AI Innovation in the Health and Education, Catalysis for Human Capital and Regional Stability. Dr. Muluneh, you have 20 minutes, and I hope you can wrap up in time.
Okay. Good morning, all. I would also thank you, Jimma University and the organizing committee for organizing such an important international conference to discuss on the issues, challenges, as well as the future actions on how we should adopt AI as a nation. Well, my topic will be on AI innovation in education and services, specifically healthcare service. Specific to that, I will also try to link that with human capital and regional stability as well. This is not actually to establish a causal relationship, but to discuss as kind of, or as an initial exploratory of the existing situation and the actions forward. Well, as we all know, the recent developments in technology, specifically in educational technology and AI, is disrupting the work system. It's also disrupting the education system, and now the rest of the economic sectors and different disciplines, professions are being disrupted or impacted. First, I need to establish some conceptual issues as I'm talking about innovation and AI related to health care and education. So when we say artificial intelligence, we are trying to mean the use of machines and robotics to process tasks as agents or as companions of human beings. So innovation can be described, or we can conceptualize innovation with these three concepts. One, innovation can be an outcome, such as product innovation, process innovation, logistics or marketing innovation, and so forth. The other is it can also be considered as a process. We can innovate a process of something, a process of an activity, or a process of or a workflow for a certain activity. And it can be also considered as a mindset, that is internalizing the products or the processes into the stakeholders or humans. So related, we also need to conceptualize what service innovation and what healthcare innovation is, because we are going to talk on this issue. Service innovation refers to the provision or development of new offerings or services adopted by stakeholders or used by stakeholders, and has some value-adding elements or components to that. And similarly, healthcare innovation is innovating the healthcare service using the tools that we are discussing, including the AI and other technologies, to improve the care seekers or products, equipments that are used by healthcare professionals, and so forth. And these innovations have some similar features, and they are driven, basically, most of the current innovations are driven using digital technologies as digitization, digitalization, or digital transformation. When you say digitization, we are trying to mean digitizing objects, like if we consider the recent developments in automobiles, let's say, in vehicles, we can say that is a digitized object. Or when you digitize a certain process like the ATM, the machine-readable card, that is digitization. And digital transformation is transforming the whole process using technologies. And such innovations will drive the future of innovation, actually. And they have these attributes. They are editable, they are interactive, they can be reprogrammed or programmable, and distribution is easy. They can be distributed to anywhere. and all the innovations that can be accompanied or created using or enabled using AI and digital technologies will have such features. And this can simplify our lives, our processes, and our work. And digital innovation as a whole, including AI, is one of such a kind, involves these activities, the activities of initiating, developing,